Why is being perceived such a chore? Hi everyone, my name's Emily. I'm 31 years old and I have ADHD. Before I get started, I just want to say a big thank you to everyone who has subscribed to me on YouTube recently. I've broken through 700 followers, which is crazy because I'm really terrible at posting often, and I just really appreciate that you guys actually want to hang around and see what I do next. So thank you. I, as always, promise that I will try and post more regularly. But here I am, I'm posting today. Today's video is all about reflecting on a year since I had my diagnosis of ADHD. If you're new here, I will give you a little bit of a backstory just so you know where I'm at with my ADHD journey. So it has been a year since I got my ADHD diagnosis. I was diagnosed with inattentive ADD back in August 2022. It is now September 2023, just. And I just wanted to make a video to reflect on what that year has been like and how having that diagnosis has changed my life, because it really has changed my life in so many positive ways. I think a really key thing to say here is that I'm not going to talk too much about my medication in this video. This is going to focus more on how my perception of myself and the way that I see the world and the way that I interact with it has changed, as opposed to talking about how that medication has helped me. For those of you that maybe don't know, I started taking Concerta XL, which is a methylphenidate slow release, back in January of this year. So I had my diagnosis, and then it took about 3 months for me to kind of make that decision that I wanted to try medication. But the good news is that that means that once I've been on the medication for a year, I will do a video about 1 year on Concerta XL as well. So keep an eye out for that. And if you don't subscribe yet, subscribe and then you'll know when that lands. So 1 year after being diagnosed with ADD, how has my life changed? I'm going to go through 5 different ways my life has changed, and this is number 1. The first way that my life has changed since I got my diagnosis is that I have slowly become more compassionate towards myself. Before I had my diagnosis, I spent so much of my life being horrible to myself. And yes, I might cry in this video. I felt like a failure all of the time. I felt like there was something wrong with me, but it wasn't something that I really understood, and I just felt like other people found life easy and I didn't, and that meant that there was something wrong with me. Pretty much from when I left home at 18 through to my 30th birthday or thereabouts, when I got diagnosed just after, I felt like I was lazy. I felt like I didn't have any kind of willpower. I felt like I couldn't achieve anything because I was always just self-sabotaging, and I felt like I needed punishing for that, and I would punish myself for it all the time. My internal monologue was so horrible towards myself. Since having my diagnosis, I have learned to be kinder to myself. I think it's really important that I never use ADHD as an excuse. So it's not like, oh, I'm running late, it's because I have ADHD. I will still make every effort possible to not be late for things. I truly believe that having this diagnosis isn't about having an excuse for behaviours. It's just about when those behaviours do happen and when those events happen, I can talk to myself in a way that is kind and understanding, rather than just being filled with self-loathing, because I did that a lot. A really good example would be that the other day I got a parking ticket And it was one of those ones where if you pay it within a certain amount of days, it's cheaper than if you pay it after 2 weeks, and then it kind of doubles in price. And because I forgot to pay it, it doubled in price, and then I had to pay £70 as opposed to £35, which was rubbish. But when that happened, sure, it was annoying, but rather than what I would have done before I had my diagnosis, which is have incredibly negative thoughts about myself and punish myself by being horrible to myself, I accepted that I'd made a mistake. I looked at it from the perspective of, well, you probably did that because you didn't actually do anything about it as soon as it happened, or make a note or put time aside to do something about it as soon as it happened. And I was able to be kind to myself about that and say, okay, well, you know what, it was rubbish, but hopefully you've learnt your lesson now, £35 down. Let's make sure, if that ever happens again, that we do something about it straight away. And also don't park where you shouldn't park for too long. And that one brings me on to the second way that my life has changed since I got my diagnosis. And that is that I don't take as much crap from myself anymore. I think this is a really important one because, again, it's about seeing your diagnosis not as an excuse for not behaving in a way that perhaps fits in with society's expectations. I now know that I have ADHD, and that knowledge gives me a pair of spectacles with which I can view my own behaviour and see the way that I interact with the world around me. It also means that I can see when my ADHD is sabotaging me. And because I can see that, I now have a reason to challenge that behaviour within myself. So a great example is that I am a notorious flake, and I will drop out of things. If given the opportunity to cancel on plans, I usually will, particularly if they have been in the diary for a very long time. And I know that a lot of that is to do with my ADHD. And so now, if I do feel that feeling of I want to cancel, I don't want to go and do this thing that I said 3 weeks ago that I would go and do, usually it's something I actually really enjoy once I get there anyway. But if I ever have that feeling, I challenge it. And I confront myself and I say, no, look, the reason you're doing this is because of your ADHD telling you that you have psyched yourself out of it. I challenge myself on it, and I recognise that my ADHD has psyched me out of going and doing that thing that I would probably quite enjoy. I've really overthought it, I've got anxiety about it, I am feeling all these feelings that are perfectly normal for me to feel, but actually are totally unreasonable given the situation, particularly when it's like, you've got a yoga class that you know that you love, just go and do it. So I'm more likely to confront myself about that now and actually recognise when my ADHD is sabotaging me. So the third way that having my ADHD diagnosis has helped me and changed my life is that I now have so much of a better understanding of how other people work and how other people's brains work and how my brain works. And that understanding also helps me understand how my brain interacts with other people's brains and how other people's brains perceive my brain. That means, again, that I can build that compassion for myself, but it also means that I can talk to people and explain to them how the way I deal with situations is different to the way they deal with situations. So a brilliant example here is that I have a friend who absolutely loves planning things in advance. She is the type of person that will literally plan her entire month out and have something planned like every evening with different people, and she'll turn up for everything on time and full of beans. And that is just not me. And I often get FOMO because I'm thinking, oh my God, I wish I could have a life like that. But I also fully appreciate the fact that I don't work like that. My brain does not work the way that hers does. And what makes her happy isn't what makes me happy. I know you watch these videos, Nicola, so hi Nicola, I'm talking about you. The key here is finding a compromise when you interact with people whose brains work differently to your own. So the compromise that we have reached is that she often plans things like a week in advance and just asks if I'm doing anything on the weekend. And 9 times out of 10, I'm not doing anything on the weekend because I hate planning things too far in advance. So it'll be like Monday evening and she'll say, are you doing anything this weekend? And I'll say no. And sneakily, I think she has already planned something that she wants to do with me. But this is the key. She will not ask me to go along and do that thing with her until the day of or the night before that thing happens. The reason she does this is because I have told her that I am far more likely to go and do something if it is spontaneous, not pre-planned, and is kind of dropped in on me as this exciting new idea. If I have too long to plan for that thing and kind of psych myself out of it, I will flake. So she now does this thing where like an hour before she wants to go and do something, she'll say, do you want to go for a coffee or do you want to go and swim in the sea? And I'm far more likely to say yes as a result. And that has come from me understanding how my brain works and how that is different from her brain. Number 4 is all about money. I am not going to sit here and say that in the past year I have solved all of my financial woes. I am notoriously not great with money. It burns a hole in my pocket and I love a spontaneous purchase. I am terrible at delayed gratification and really struggle to save money. But over the past year, I have managed to take proactive steps to improving my relationship with money. For those of you who have watched this channel for a good couple of months, nearly a year now, oh my god, you will know that I actually had a period where I was made redundant and was unemployed for about 4 or 5 months at the start of this year, which meant that I did struggle with money. I didn't have a lot of money floating around. In the past, that period of unemployment and not having a regular income would have probably absolutely decimated me. I would have like hammered a credit card so hard, and I probably wouldn't have necessarily done my research and looked into things like the effect that was having on my credit rating, or whether or not there was a cheaper way of borrowing money, or any of that malarkey. I mean, I'm still no expert, but I'm better than I was. However, having ADHD meant that I felt more empowered to actually reach out and ask for help with those things. It didn't feel like something I should feel so guilty and shameful about, that I was having money issues and struggling to manage my finances. I actually had a reason as to why I found that so difficult, and that meant that I didn't feel so embarrassed to ask for that help. I am still not Mr. Moneybags, believe me, but I feel more in control of my finances now, and that is empowering and exciting. The 5th and final way that my life has changed since I got my ADHD diagnosis is the biggest one. Strap in. I have totally stopped taking antidepressants. Like, I don't take any anymore. The backstory here is that I took SSRI antidepressants. So I took the maximum dosage of sertraline, which is 200 milligrams. I had been taking that for about 2 years, and before that I had tried a variety of other antidepressants like citalopram and escitalopram and probably some others that I can't even remember. I had been depressed since I was about 21. I think I was 21 when I first got diagnosed with depression, and I had spent 10 years feeling pretty rubbish. And I tried all these antidepressants and nothing had made any difference, and I continued to feel terrible, and I continued to not really like myself and speak to myself in a really horrible way and have incredibly negative thought patterns. there was a part of me that thought that I was going to have to take antidepressants for the rest of my life, and that made me really sad. It's so ironic. The idea that I was going to be reliant on this drug that clearly didn't work the way that I actually needed it to. There just didn't really seem to be any kind of upside to taking them, apart from the fact that if I stopped taking them, I felt really, really, really bad, as opposed to just pretty bad all of the time. And so the fact that I have managed to stop taking them is massive for me. And not only have I managed to stop taking them, but I genuinely don't think I am depressed anymore. I don't think I'm depressed anymore. Like, that's crazy. It's crazy to me. Of course I get sad. Of course I get sad. I've been crying in this video. Like, yeah, I still get sad, but it is so much more moderated now. It is often linked to things like my hormones, and it is linked to things that are happening in the world around me that are normal to get sad about. And the sadness does not last for weeks and months. The sadness is temporary and feels manageable. And I'm also able to be happy and have fun and love myself. And I'm crying because these are happy tears, FYI. I just feel like a different person, and that's brilliant. Yay. I think a huge part about why I no longer feel depressed is linked to the stuff that I've talked about in this video so far. So feeling more compassionate towards myself, understanding how other people work and how my brain interacts with them and the world around me, feeling in control of my life and my finances, and having the ability to actually push myself and recognise when I'm self-sabotaging, and having a toolkit to be able to actually tackle that has made me better. And I didn't need the antidepressants to do those things. All of these things have come from my ability to understand myself and show myself love. And that sounds so lame when I say it out loud, but it's true. Please remember, I'm not a medical professional, and I'm not here telling you to stop taking your antidepressants. I am just saying that over the past year I have been able to reduce mine and actually come off them completely. I didn't stop instantaneously. I cut down by 50 milligrams over the course of about 6 months, and that process was overseen by my GP. So if that is something you are thinking about doing, please talk to your GP about it. I just wanted to share my good news with you, and hopefully maybe show that you too may have a similar experience in the future and that there is hope out there. This was a really intense video. It definitely got more intense, so thank you for sticking with it. I again want to just reiterate my thank yous to everyone who has watched this video and subscribed. If you haven't subscribed, please do. I am going to upload more content very soon. I've got some exciting things that I think you will enjoy, and I can't wait to share with you. If you want to support my channel, you can also buy me a coffee on buymeacoffee.com. I will put the URL just down here. Please also like this video and share it with your friends. That would mean so much to me. I hope this has given you hope, and I am excited to see where my journey takes me next. Please stick around and find out. Thank you for watching, everyone, and I hope to see you soon. Bye!